Hi friends, welcome to Lotus in the Light. My name's Jennifer. I'm out here today at one of my favorite local cemeteries. It's very big and beautiful and just has lots of beautiful nature and mausoleums and just different things like that around. It's a really beautiful space. But I discovered this tree and I felt spirit prompting me to tell the story of this tree as it was given to me, because it relates directly to our journey as dual, what do I want to say? Our journey in duality, our journey in being both human and both human and spirit. And this tree, the story that it tells me is that it started to grow as one, and it was growing big and strong, and had everything that it needed, right? And then suddenly there's a point at which somebody told it, no, there's a part of you that needs to be rejected, that needs to be split off, split away. There's a part of you that's good, and there's a part of you that's bad or wrong or not healthy. And so this tree started to create a divide and divide itself into the good, and you see it starting to bear fruit right up there, if I can point, and the not so good, that's bearing no fruit. And in fact, what we see on this side is that it starts to hide in shame. See the vines growing up. It's hiding. It feels like it's not worthy to be seen. And then what we see is, as it grows and grows, we see right up here, it starts to come back together. It starts to realize that, hey, we need each other. There's something there. There's a reason that we're both here. And it starts to come back together, and then it goes back apart. As we get further up, it goes back apart again. But if you look even further up, and I don't know how to demonstrate this the best, but if you can, maybe I'll step out here. Get even further up there, you will see that it comes back together again in total fullness all the way up there, and continues to grow together as one and produce all this beautiful fruit, produce all the beautiful leaves and branches. And it's a really beautiful story, actually. And the reason that that's the story that came to me was that I feel like there's a narrative out there, an interpretation of scriptures, and perhaps this goes beyond Christianity, even into other faith systems, but I don't proclaim to know a lot of those other belief systems deeply enough. But definitely within Christianity, there's often a belief that we are to deny our human self, deny the ego, deny the flesh, that we are to suppress it, that we are to be ashamed of it, that we are to try to shut it down, kill it off, whatever that looks like. And I'm here to say that that is not true. If the goal of this life was to shed and rid ourselves of this humanness, then why would God have created it in the first place? If there wasn't something beautiful about it, God would not have created it. We are a beautiful, energetic creation of divine source. And if that in fact were true, that our goal is to just shed this humanness and this experience, then the fastest and quickest route to our highest and best self would be to kill ourselves, wouldn't it? Because then we rid ourselves of the humanness and we're right back into our spiritual selves. Or for those that don't believe it came from there and believe that that's what starts after this, then you would then venture into that soul self at that point. Now, granted, on the Christian side, you wouldn't believe that either, because oftentimes there's a narrative in Christianity that, suicide leads to hell. That's a whole nother narrative and conversation. But that is where I feel like Spirit wants to take this conversation is really about finding the beauty in your humanness and understanding that scriptures such as deny yourself and take up the cross, or scriptures that talk about how the desires of the flesh are contrary to the desires of the spirit, how they've been kind of twisted and turned and taken out of context to a point that has caused us to feel ashamed of our humanness and ashamed of our human desires. And just understand that the issue with our human desires and why they're contrary to spirit is because our humanness, our ego, doesn't have full knowledge. Our ego doesn't remember everything like our soul does. Our ego is like the young child of our whole selves, right? And our soul is like the wise parent, maybe even the wise grandparent, having all that wisdom and experience and knowledge, not just wisdom and experience of its own, but your soul is tapped into the source, God's source, right? So it has the wisdom and learnings and experience of all of creation, this tree, your ancestors, my ancestors, Jesus, all of it is within the understanding of your soul. So when we tune our ego in, our soul becomes that gentle, loving parent to your ego that can guide and help it to grow and just gently point it in the right direction and help it to know what it doesn't know today. So for example, most of our fleshy desires, when we are not tuned in to our soul, not tuned into spirit, center around seeking, feeling, and securing love, safety, security, peace. All of those things are things that the soul knows you inherently already have. And if you don't have it in your earthly experience in this moment, it's not because God is withholding it from you. It's because you are energetically blocking it based on something you believe about yourself or about God, or based on trauma that's stored in your body, and that's trapping your mind, okay? So it's not that God is withholding anything from you because of your humanness or because of the choices of your ego, okay? It's just because your ego, when we allow the ego to rule, so again, if the ego is the child, the inexperienced child, the one that will throw tantrums occasionally, the one that will run amok occasionally, if we let the ego be in control, that's where we create trouble for ourselves, right? We create the karmic energy, energy that's coming back to us that maybe isn't necessarily rooted in love, but is probably rooted in fear, because that's what the ego is operating off of a lot of times. So if the ego doesn't know that it's inherently safe, inherently protected, inherently loved, inherently worthy, then it's going out there, and those are the desires that it's striving for, and it strives and strives and strives. And those efforts, because they're not rooted in love, they're rooted in fear. Those efforts often create division, because the ego thinks in terms of like a zero-sum game, right? It's like if you have, if I need to feed my family and there's an animal out there, I'm going back to, those days, right? There's an animal out there that I need to feed my family. But if you take it, I can't have it. And then your family survives, but my family doesn't. Okay, that's an egoic, separatist, like, I'm going to go take that so that you can't have it. as opposed to there's enough for everyone, which is what spirit would say, because spirit knows. You go back to the texts of like Jesus feeding 5,000, because even when it looks like there's not enough, spirit provides always when we are in an energetic place to receive it. Always, 100% of the time. Okay, so that's really what it's about. It's about finding the balance between the value and beauty and positive attributes that your humanness, that your flesh, that your ego brings, but allowing that to be in balance with and in connection to your soul and the wisdom of your soul. You know what experience your soul doesn't have? Your soul doesn't have the experience or wisdom of being in this specific human experience. It doesn't have the perspective that your humanness has, right? So there's things that your soul cannot do. Your soul cannot swim across this lake. Your soul cannot build the house or do the work, on your computer. All that stuff that is part of this physical world that we're in. So your whole self is needed. Your whole self is loved and valuable. Sorry, I'm getting some energy here, so I feel like let me just tap in. Is there something else I'm missing? It's time to take off that which you have been covering and hiding and bring into the light whatever it is about yourself that you have been feeling shame about. It's time to uncover it and put it under the light of God's love and let God show you the truth about that thing. And even if those shadow aspects of ourselves, whatever's going on with you that maybe you've been hiding or you're ashamed of, you're ashamed to even admit to yourself. When you can admit it to yourself and let God help you discover things about it, what you'll discover is that like even those choices that you might think are unforgivable, they're again rooted in fear. They're rooted in this idea that I have to do this to protect myself, or I have to do this to ensure that I can exist for another day. I have to do this to make sure that people will love me. I have to do this to make sure that people don't know the truth about me, so that or else they won't love me. Whatever it is. So yeah, it's time to loosen the reins on those things. I'm going to leave it right there and maybe pull a card when I get home. But I hope you enjoyed the story of this beautiful tree that started to reject itself for a while, but came back into wholeness. That's what you're designed for. You're designed for wholeness in this human experience, and wholeness, a piece of that is your humanness. So please don't reject it and deny it. This life will be over for all of us soon enough. And at that point, you will be back into the wholeness of your soul with the added lessons that you are able to provide to your soul from this experience. So treasure this journey and just keep it in perspective of what it is. This journey is nothing more, this earth experience is nothing more than a school for us to learn and grow, for our souls to learn and grow. So remember that. I love you. Peace out. Hi, friends. Okay, I'm back home. I'm going to draw an oracle card. I'm going to use spirit animal oracle, since we're out at the cemetery in nature, to try to wrap up this message about the tree story. And I wondered afterwards, I'm like, is that even how the tree grows? Is that right? It's like, where's the top really how it started and then I don't really know. That's how the story came to me, so that's how I shared it. But no worries if I'm not an arborist, I'm not an expert. I'm not worried about that. Okay, Spirit, let me take a breath here and get us reconnected. Take that breath with me. Thank you, Spirit, for the message that you shared about the tree and the tree finding wholeness and finding its true beauty and realizing that its beauty is in its wholeness and that not any part of it needs to be rejected. No part needs to be hidden in the shadows. Every part of you, even the parts that you hide away. Oh, something fell out. That you hide away in fear. Um, even the parts that you hide away in shame. Those parts have something beautiful to offer if you start doing that work. If you start digging deep and doing the deep work within, then the beauty is revealed. Flamingo spirit, embrace the in between. We've had flamingo spirit before. Um, it's a 26, which breaks down to an 8. And an 8 is all about infinite possibilities. If you think of the 8, kind of the two circles of infinity, because we put ourselves in a box sometimes, especially about what we believe about ourselves. But the truth is, many things are possible. Many things can be true. That was my Siri listening to me. That was interesting. Okay. Um, Spirit, what do we need to know about flamingo spirit? So I think in this time, we find ourselves still in a time of turmoil and still wrestling with what we believe about ourselves, about God, and about the world. And I think what Spirit's saying here is like you're taking on a lot right now, a lot of new ideas. And if you're going to do the work of really discovering your true inner beauty, your true total inner and outer beauty, um, if you're going to bring yourself back into wholeness, and that's what Jesus came here to show us how to do. He came here to show us how to draw back into wholeness. If you're going to do that work, there's time. There's time in between what you believed before and what you will come to believe. And it's this time of discovery, and this time of, like, we keep getting the number 5 numbers right, typically because there's this time of like conflict of what do I believe, right? But the 8 is here to tell you in this in between this and this, in between what you believe have believed and what you will believe, or what you have known and what you will know, um, are infinite possibilities. And it's okay to just tarry there for a minute and say, you know what? It's okay that I don't know. It's okay that I'm not sure. I'm safe. This is the key when you're in these in between times, and in this time where the possibilities truly are infinite. So that can feel a little overwhelming and a little scary. So I think the message here is a reminder that you are safe, you are loved, and you are protected. And as long as you believe that, apologies, did not silence my phone. As long as you believe that and you know that, your energy will allow all of that to come to you. So kind of like how Jesus fed the 5,000, even though it looked like in the basket there wasn't going to be enough, it was the faith, it was the belief that it would be enough is what made it enough, is what allowed abundance to flow into that basket or those baskets, okay? So it's the belief. And then, so know that you are loved, you are protected. And so you can take the time and space to just tarry there in the in between. 26. And what will come out of that is like the oyster, the pearl and the oyster, right? This is going to open up and something beautiful within you, just like that tree saying, yes, we are whole when we love and accept all of ourselves.
I'm going to read a little bit of this, and then I'm going to keep, every time I reference scripture, I'm going to pull a biblical tarot card. I just feel like I should. The oracle message here, and I don't know if I'll read the whole thing. I'll just read the beginning here. Balance comes easily to flamingo spirit. This is what we're talking about with the tree, right? The balance of our humanness and our spirit. Balance comes easily to flamingo spirit, who sees what was and what will be and stands strong in the face of uncertainty. You can be informed by what came before and plan for a future yet to be, but do not resist flamingo spirit's call to be fully present in the now, where the real magic happens, with one foot in the life you are moving away from and one foot in the future as you become the one who leads the life of your highest intentions. You must make peace with the fact that you are not fully in either place. Embrace the in between. Okay, so I feel like this card is really telling us where this collective is. Those of you that have chosen to watch this video, this is where you are in this process of discovering, I don't know if that's the right word, but accepting who you are in your fullness, accepting wholly who you are. Okay. And then let's just biblical tarot. One more card from spirit to kind of put a bow on this. What um nothing actually technically popped out, so I just pushed them all back in there. Is there one last message here for us? There it was. Oh my gosh, this is insane. We got we got this message, I think yesterday or the day before. I mean, I haven't used these cards that often, and you see how many there are. So like to get one multiple times, it's a one. It's Ace of Feathers. And it's all about Saul's conversion. Okay. That's he's being made whole right in this moment. On the road to Damascus, he is made whole right then and there. Everything his ego had been telling him about persecuting Christians, he has now been enlightened. His third eye has been opened. That's really what's happening here. His third eye is being opened, and he's able to see the things that these eyes can't see. He's able to feel the things in his heart that he hadn't been able to feel before because they had been bound up and locked up in these limiting beliefs about himself, limiting beliefs about God. So now he's a new man. Number one is like fresh, new, like new perspective, ready for this new adventure. And that's what you are heading towards. I would say that's where you are. But this in-between spirit says, you're almost there. You're almost there, but it's okay. Give yourself time in this in-between space to make your way here to complete revelation and complete transformation. He fell to the ground and heard a voice say to him, Saul, Saul, why do you persecute me? Now, I want you to listen to that because you are made from divine source energy. So when when Jesus asks, why do you persecute me? Jesus is saying that on all of our behalf. Jennifer, why do you persecute me? Meaning, why do you persecute Jennifer? Whatever your name is, Bob, why do you persecute Bob? Right? Jane Doe, why do you persecute Jane Doe? Because you are beautiful. Love yourself, accept yourself. When you can shed the guilt and shame, that's where freedom is. That's where joy is. That's where peace is. And that's where we can remove judgment from this world. And that's what Saul was doing. He was judging. He was deciding who was, he was persecuting Christians. So he was deciding who just deserves to be free and who didn't. And I'm here to tell you, you all deserve to be free. Skip the judgment part. It's not necessary. In fact, we're commanded and told not to do it. So, okay, that's it. I love you guys. Peace out. Have a blessed day.